All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 3 o'clock. We're going to start the full board meeting. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioners, I need a motion to adopt today's agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Carabelli.
Support Hall.
Support.
I have a motion and support. Mike, my screen just went blank and I'm going to have to get back into it again. So please let me know and vote yes for me. Oh, there we go. Okay. Just came back.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And item number 5, approval of minutes dated May 21st, 2020. Can I get a motion for that?
Romano approves minutes.
Thank you.
Harder.
Hey, Marv, please vote.
Okay.
That motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item number 6, public participation. Any member of the public wishing to speak, you have 5 minutes on any item that is on today's agenda. So if you would like to speak, hit *6 to unmute or send a chat if you're on that medium, and they will let me know. But anybody wishing to speak, I'm going to take the first call. Anybody wishing to speak in public participation, please push *6. Going twice. Third and final call for the first public participation. I hear nobody wishing to speak in public participation. We're going to close item 6, go to item 7. We don't have any specific correspondence from the Office of County Executive except for item 9, which we'll get to shortly. So we're going to close item 7 and go to item 8, proclamations. Item 8A, I'd like a motion to accept a proclamation for Melanie for being named the 2020 City Clerk of the Year by Michigan Association of Clerks. I'm thinking Mr. Romano would want that.
I'll support.
Okay, Mr. Romano, who's supporting that? Mr. Myjack, maybe, since she's in Sterling Heights?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Joe or Rob, would you like to say anything on this, or should we just vote? I don't believe she's on the line.
Thank you, Chair. If I may, this is Commissioner Romano.
Yes.
Melanie originally started she started as about the same time I got on the commission about 4 years ago. And she was interviewed by everyone on the council. And the interviews lasted probably 5 to 10 minutes. And honestly, when I just talked to this young lady, and it took me no more than 5 minutes to figure out that we had a winner. And she's proven herself time and time again. And the honor that's been bestowed upon her now as the 2020 city clerk, don't forget, this is through all of Michigan that she's awarded this award, I should say. Not only that, but her particular department, which is the clerk's department, also was awarded the municipal clerk for the city of Sterling Heights as the best department in the city of Sterling Heights. So having said that, it is really an honor that I can present this to her at a meeting that she knows nothing about yet. So it's going to be a surprise for her. As I'm doing this, I offer this to Commissioner Myjack if he would like to also be in attendance. It'd be nice for him to be there also. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't have any other speakers on the queue to speak. So please vote.
That motion passes 15-0.
Great. Item 8B, a proclamation commending Roy Rose upon his retirement from Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. Need a motion to support, Commissioner?
So moved,
Carabelli?
Mr. Chairman. Carabelli.
Second by Haw.
Second by Commissioner Hall. So I'm going to, I'm sure we'll have a few speakers on here. And Roy, I know you're on the line, so thank you for joining us. Everybody, please mute that's not speaking right now. That would be awesome. Great. Thank you. So I'm going to read just a part of this, Roy, and then I'll let it out for other speakers. I know that you're well known in the community and for good reason. So I'm going to just read the first part. Whereas Macomb County Board of Commissioners commends Roy Rose for his more than 40 years of dedicated civil service or civil engineering service, including 35 years with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. Whereas Roy Rose joined AEW in 1985 and began his highly successful career with the firm. He began it with bridge design and other structural engineering projects. He was quickly recognized for his impeccable work ethic and constant dedication, and became a shareholder in 1986. So mind you, he joined in 85. In 1989, Roy was promoted to vice president and elected to AEW's board of directors. He went on to become both president and CEO in 2001, followed by serving 2 years as chairman of the board. I'm going to end it with this little piece here, and then we'll head to the bottom. It's well known that Roy, his staff views him in such high regard for his unwavering dedication, integrity, vision, and leadership. And Roy, I'll tell you that, we had a talk earlier today, and it's an honor to do something like this for you. And I know this is unexpected, by you, but I don't think there's anybody that knows you that's ever asked anything of you that you've turned them down. You're such a gentleman. You help everybody. I know you're going to be in the area and you're not leaving. You're certainly too young to retire and do nothing. I just want to say congratulations. And, the last thing on here, the Macomb County Board hereby publicly commends, acknowledges, and expresses congratulations to Roy Rose on the occasion of his retirement from Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. And Roy, I hope that you don't go far, because I know that I call on you all the time to give me a hand and to answer some questions. So thank you very much. I don't have anybody speaking, and I'm sure that I'm missing something. So if I'm missing your name, please chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to let Roy speak here. Harold, Mr. Haw.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I were longer than we care to mention. He was our engineer. We brought him into Roseville even prior to my being mayor, and we've known each other all this time. But I've got to tell my best Roy Rose story, because he was denied an opportunity in Roseville. Unbeknownst to him, on GM business, I traveled to Italy and got caught in a roundabout. And we must have spent 20 minutes in that roundabout trying to get out. The following meeting, Roy proposes a roundabout on 13 Mile Road in Little Mac. Lasted about 35 seconds. Denied. And Roy said, those really are traffic relief mechanisms. I said, travel with me to Italy next time and we'll see. And each time we see each other, we laugh about that story. But in all seriousness, Roy was a man that I could go to, ask a question, get a professional answer, even still today, as he is retired, and continue to respect his opinion. He will be a lifelong friend of mine, and Roy, I value our friendship forever. So God bless you on your retirement. Enjoy it, and enjoy those grandkids. Thank you, Chairman.
Roy, the floor is yours.
Well, I hope can you hear me, Bob?
I can.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm very humbled by getting this. Like you and I talked earlier today, this was totally unexpected. I never expected anything like this. And I am so honored and feel overwhelmed with the idea that without being, this just came about. And I know a lot of the commissioners over the years. Harold, I've known the longest, but a lot of the other commissioners are known for when they've been in past careers prior to becoming commissioners. And I think you folks are doing a great job. I'm very humbled. I appreciate it. I've always had a philosophy of trying to do the best I can and trying to help out any place that I possibly can. God gave me the gift of knowledge of me as an engineer, and I wanted to make sure that I try to do the best I can with it. So I just want to thank all the commissioners for all your support over the years and your friendship. And Harold, you and I are going to be friends for many, many more years.
Thanks, Roy. We have another commissioner, Commissioner Kleinfeld, that put up her name. So Commissioner Kleinfeld, you're there.
Thank you, Chair. I tried to, oh, somebody's on. I tried to request to speak earlier, but I had to refresh. Those of you that know Roy well know that he's a really funny guy. I have enjoyed the conversations that I've had over the years with him immensely, and I'm looking forward to many more years of having conversations with him and being able to laugh once in a while. I just really, I enjoy your company, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld. And Roy, again, congratulations. And you're right, we've known each other from my other career at the fire department for many. I appreciate you and look forward to seeing you around. If we could mute a few of the phones that are not muted, that would stop all the feedback. And I think we're ready to vote.
Commissioner Sager would like to make a comment.
Oh, Commissioner Sager, go ahead. You have to unmute to do that, Commissioner Sager. I think you just muted.
Okay.
There you go. Go ahead, Marvin.
But Roy, I want to tell you something. You're a class act, and you never turned me down, but you're also a tribute to the city of Centerline with your expertise. So there's not going to be another Roy Rose coming in this county. I'll miss you. I hope I run into you, but you are a class act, and thanks for your service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Veronica, also.
Thanks. All right, commissioners, please vote. And Roy, thanks.
Romano has to give Romano gives a verbal yes.
Okay. Mike, I think I missed you. Did you say that passed 13-0?
Yes, it did.
Great, thank you. Item number 9, COVID items. It looks like we have quite a few of them. So I think we have the first, maybe A through F would all relate to MCA. So if we want to maybe get a motion for A through F, and then maybe we could have Ernest or someone from Macomb Community Action speak to these.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Carabelli.
Thank you.
And I need a second.
Drollet seconds.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner Drollet. And I'm just guessing because I can't see everybody on here, but I'm not sure if Ernest, and if it's not Ernest, anybody else who's on the line to speak about these programs, I would appreciate if you would join us.
Bob, it's Vicky.
Oh, hi, Vicky.
Hi, good afternoon. Would you like me to do the report like I did last time? My report is item A, and I run through, and then I run through all the items collectively.
How about if we do this? And that sounds fine, but if we could kind of group them in A through F, and maybe after you get done with the MCA, just see if there's any questions, and then we can do, as different departments. If we just stop after each different break, and we can see if we have any questions individually, and then we could keep moving forward. Does that work?
Whatever you would like. Item A is an overview report, but I can go right to item B and get to the meat and potatoes of your motions if you'd like. So,
well, if you want, Vicky, if you'd like to do an overview, and then we could kind of just go down the line and see, just a quick summary on each. You tell me if that works. I don't want to be here all day for you, but if that works, we could do it that way.
Nope, that's fine, and I can move along quicker than I have in the past too. So I know it's a lot of info. First time I think we've gone to double letters with agenda items.
All right. So
all
you're
right.
going to be speaking to all of these, or just if we have questions on individual ones, some will come on from that department, maybe. Right?
Correct. Yes. Okay. Yep. I'll do all the intros, and then if you have questions, I can either answer them or the department representatives. Yep.
Fantastic. Thanks. The floor is yours. Oh, you know what? Let's get a motion then. Why don't we get a motion from A through double A? Let's redo that motion if we don't mind. Then we can kind of speak to all of them and not have to do individual motions for each one.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Lucido, support.
Okay. I have motion and support. So Vicki, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, that's okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. I will try to run through the items quickly, but offer enough of an explanation. Just to kind of capture where we're at, the reports from May through June 19th, essentially. We were on day 106 on the 19th. As we sit here today, when we look at declarations, as has been talked about before and in various circles, our declaration expires tomorrow, and we are not seeking an extension of that at this time. That could change potentially in the future, depending on what happens with the pandemic. But we believe that we can operate during normal county policies and procedures at this time, and if need to, when it pertains to board items, use our bypass procedures. With that, though, we're still going to have the EOC operational, still functioning in that capacity and doing a lot of the coordination pieces. In addition to the county, there's only four other local jurisdictions that have ongoing declarations. The last one of those expires at the end of July. And obviously there's the state and national declarations in place. Community action, obviously very busy, number of items on the agenda related to community action. And as we talked about, a lot of their areas will be long-term. Just with the economic downturn and how some of our vulnerable groups are affected by COVID itself. But in my summary report, that's part of the agenda. A lot of great work with their meal distribution, emergency financial assistance that they're giving out. Highlights from the emergency management department since we last met. More work going on with the homeless coalition and those agencies within the county. MCA works with those groups as well and does a lot more of the individual assistance, but through Brandon Lewis and his office, he is working more on an agency level, and discussions that they have are concerning support with PPE, testing for homeless individuals, support on maybe some of their congregate care or hotel issues, and then also some cleaning supplies and hygiene supplies for their individuals. PPE for emergency management is a huge priority. Again, that will be ongoing, not only for ourselves as a county and our personnel, but also for hospitals, long-term care, congregate care facilities, local jurisdictions, first responders. Some of that is still being needed now currently and is being distributed, as well as the stockpile that we've talked about if there is a larger second wave. One of the other items that they've been working on, in addition to with the EOC and planning and economic development, is the business kit program with the PPE supplies. That has been going along great. They've been doing the logistical support, and to date they have over 2,000 kits distributed and more on the way. So that's been very successful. I'll skip the finance piece because that's a lot of items. Health department, when you take a look at our cases, we're just over 7,000 cases, positive cases in the county, 857 deaths. Our 7-day average right now, at least through the 23rd, is 23 new cases a day. So obviously very low numbers from where we were at the height of the pandemic for us, and we're hoping that that continues to decrease or at least stay steady throughout the course of the pandemic. They've concentrated a lot of work on their close contacts, their case investigations. As we talked before, they have over 60 people that are now trained in that area. Since last month, they've conducted over 476 of those investigations, and that will continue to be ongoing. They have also been, we noted, we opened our own drive-through testing site in early June. So far we've had 484 individuals come through the testing site. Testing site is still operational Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I believe yesterday for Wednesday we had close to 140 individuals come through, and obviously registration's ongoing for tomorrow. Also continue to do a lot of work through the health department and our congregate care sites. We have over 400 of those sites, so they're integral in working with those various entities, and whether it's support with planning or if they need support with testing kits and samples. Working with that. We've talked about the strike teams that we put forward, and there's a couple contracts on here for the strike teams, but those are teams that can go out and actually do the testing within these sites if they don't have the personnel to do it. We supply the strike team and all the equipment for the teams for those different congregate care sites that need that. They've also been busy with inspections for food establishments now that they've been able to open in various capacities. So they've done over 2,500 of those. Another big area as it relates to COVID is obviously swimming pools. So they've had over 45 inspections that they've been able to conduct since the pools have been allowed to open. Moving on to HR. HR's continued to manage our employee volunteer program, so we were doing well there. We've had just under 1,500 different assignments that employees have taken since we started, so that's a great response from those entities and the staff that they've been able to provide. HR was also integral in getting our training documents that we had to get as mandated by the governor on COVID, and basically on the response plans that we have as a county. So a lot of work done in that area. Another area that we're working on that IT has been able to support is we are looking at an app to do the employee and visitor assessments prior to coming into our facilities. Right now we have a paper copy that we've been using, but IT's working on something that we can provide that's a little more robust and a little more accessible to different individuals. Planning and Economic Development Department, most notably our business grants and the money that we have set aside through the CARES Act there. In our last round that we did, we instituted 135 checks or awards to businesses, $5,000 each. Those checks have gone out the door, and those companies have been provided that funding. Those businesses were the ones that were not that did not receive funding in the first round, that had the MEDC money. This was our first round under our CARES Act funding. So those checks have gone out the door. The other application process that we've been working on that just closed yesterday, as a matter of fact, again, $5,000 grant awards to small businesses. I'm happy to report that from that round that just closed, we have 3,576 businesses that we will be able to provide another round of funding to. We are anticipating that we will get checks out to those businesses around the first week of July. So a lot of hard work being done by planning. Plant Moran's helped with that process to get those applications in, verify their eligibility, and then get the checks out the door. And then just talking a little bit about the schools, that's another huge area that we've been working on, and we'll continue to work with the ISD and the superintendent. We continue to work with them on food distribution. We are all anxiously awaiting the governor's report for schools that's supposed to come out on June 30th to give more direction and guidance to the schools. There's a number of areas that we're looking at supporting them in, whether it's with planning and or with CARES Act funding. Most notably though, PPE. We have moved forward with the recent purchase for them in that area that they believe they're going to need for staff and students for when they come back. But there's a lot of areas, especially in technology, as we all understand, that they are looking at to make their plans in. Still able to report that our healthcare system and hospitals are stable. They're getting back to more normal business, obviously lower COVID cases within that system. So that's good news that their operations are returning more to normal. And as we just look forward for ourselves, again, those areas remain the same. A lot of employee focus, what we're doing as a county, still promoting remote work, though we know more departments may need to have individuals come in to the workplace. We're still going to be doing our PPE, our cleaning. We're starting to get our facility protections. A number of departments have started to see those go up through F&O, so we're glad to see that. Our financial tracking grant management will continue. We're fortunate funding keeps coming in, as you can see by the number of budget amendments we have on this month's agenda. And then obviously to the work in the testing arena with the health department, and if that transitions over into vaccinations anytime in the foreseeable future, that'll continue to be a lot of work. And then obviously work with the businesses and our vulnerable populations. And with that, I will now turn over to the specific agenda items and talk a little bit about the finances. You have a finance report in your packet. Our current revenues are roughly just over 158 million, and current expenses are approximately 10.5 million. When you look at your agenda items B through G, which are all budget amendments, those are all current or new grants that have come in since we last met in various areas within the county, and those budget amendments are roughly 2.2 million in new funding to the county. So item agenda B relates to MCA and their food program. We had a donation from FCA or Chrysler in the amount of $20,000. We then had another item or budget amendment for MCA, again for emergency food from Families First, Coronavirus Response Act Award for $37,595. Another budget amendment for the MCA food program from a donation from Consumers Energy in the amount of $50,000. And then MCA also had somewhat increases to two normal programs that they get throughout the year, but these are supported by CARES Act funding from the feds. One of those is within the CDBG program, just over $1 million. And then the second one was in their ESG grant program, and that one is $541,486. And if you'd like, I could stop there. Those are all the MCA budget amendments before I move on to the sheriffs, if you have any questions or comments.
I have two commissioners up, and so if you don't mind, maybe we can take their questions on what you've spoke about already. So Commissioner Kraft would be up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vicki, I just had a couple questions about the whole overview that you gave us, if that's all right, Mr. Chair. Okay, so Vicki, Thanks, Bob. Vicky, thank you and the team for everything you guys are doing. And I also want to thank the county executive for not asking to renew the declaration of emergency right now. I know you guys are doing a great job and handling things the best you can, drinking from that fire hose. But just wanted to thank you and the team. And having said that, I have a couple questions. The first one is regarding the municipalities. I know they've all been designated a certain dollar amount. When are those projected to go out? Do they have to apply and sort of send you guys an application and then they receive a check? How does that process work?
Sure. We've actually had 2 meetings with them, if you will, where we've presented the information to them and had discussion. Right now, they are in the process of sending their contacts into emergency management is leading that effort. So they're collecting contact information. They've already had a lot of good questions come in and preparing the forms. So really, I would assume probably as soon as July, if the local municipalities get their packets back, they get verified, they could start to see checks go out probably as soon as the end of July would be a good time frame.
Great, thank you. One last question and I'll give you a break. I'll turn it over to my buddy, Andy. Andy, I've got a work share question for you. Since you and I are going through this unemployment, I don't know, maze, nightmare, whatever. I was wondering how many of our employees that I know they were all put on the workshare program, but how many of them are still waiting to receive their benefits? Do you have like a percentage or an estimate or anything like that at this point?
Thanks, Commissioner. I sent out an email the other night that we were at about 340 who were still working through the process, and we had about 90 who had resolved. I would bet you that 90 has at least doubled. What we found today is that most of the people who were being issued paper checks received those yesterday. So we've got an ongoing list, and I can, if you give me just a minute, I'm going to sort it, and I'll give you a better number on the ones that have been resolved out of the 340-ish that we had.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been reading your email updates because I've been just as curious because that's what I've been dealing with on a daily basis. So just wanted to ask you that one. And if Steve is on the line, Smeagol, just wondering if when this is all done and we go back to quote unquote normal, we get our employees off the workshare program, wondering if you could provide that total cost savings and then break it down by department if that's feasible.
I can do my best to get that information. We'll have a general idea of, what somebody's base pay was before and after, and kind of multiply that out by just basically 4 pay periods. So I need to kind of get that number kind of calculated anyway, just so we know what an overall budget savings is.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have Commissioner Kleinfeld on deck. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Thank you, Chair. Most of my questions are for things she hasn't spoken to yet, so I'll wait until she's done before I ask mine.
Okay, fine. That sounds great. Then Vicky, back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Item D is a budget amendment for the Sheriff's Office. They were given a COVID-specific grant through the Department of Justice. That budget amendment is in the amount of $77,311, and that is funding for various items. Essentially within the jail was the gist of this grant award. And what they were looking at is PPE for their personnel, as well as some cleaning type of equipment that they can use within the jail. If you don't mind, I'm going to just jump to item AA because that was the last budget amendment. So just sticking in the budget amendment categories. That was a budget amendment that came through for the health department. And again, somewhat of an increase in their normal grant awards that they get throughout the year. But these are COVID specific, and that's in the amount of $392,000. And funding within that area can go towards staff. It can go towards testing equipment, any type of support that they need to do to congregate care sites or any of the long-term facilities, any type of operational supplies that they need. So that's those are the last two budget amendment items. Any questions on either of those? And then I can move on to all the contracts, if that's okay.
Let me just ask if Veronica, I see your name's up there again. Would you like to speak yet, or you want to wait till the end?
I'm going to wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Then you can continue. Thank you, Vicki.
Okay, I'm going to next move into what are, again, are all of our new contracts that we approved in the last month. Item H is an AquaSite contract that has to do with the Public Works monitoring project, pilot project going on in Clinton Township. That is for $498,000, and that is basically to bring a company in that is going to process the test samples that are taken, and then they're going to do all the diagnostics on that, all the reporting, and then set up a great analytical type program that Public Works, the Health Department, and the rest of us can use to see if we can actually do the contact tracing for the wastewater system. Items I and J are essentially the same, except with two different entities. The first one is for MedStar, and the second one is with MyCare. Both of those agreements are for those entities to participate as the strike teams that are going into the congregate care sites and actually working with facilities to do the actual testing of their employees and or staff and loaning support there. Each of those contracts, they're being paid $50 per test that they're able to perform for us. Item K is a contract with Med National Staffing. We have some additional staffing needs, as you understand, in a couple different areas. Most notably within the health department with the testing site that we're setting up, and then potentially with the vaccination site. When we need that up and running, we're looking at medical assistants and LPN that can support and supplement county staff that is out there to do a number of different job duties. And then the other areas within MCA and our Meals on Wheels program. There's a lot of support that's needed. We're still not at a point yet where we're comfortable bringing back normal volunteers that work in that program. So we needed to supplement staff within there. Med National has a background in medical staff, so that's kind of why we went with them on a recommendation of a third party, and we were comfortable with the pricing that was in that contract and being offered to us. The next three items, L, M, and N, are all contracts relative to Plant Moran. Again, need some additional support and some consulting services in different areas, most notably as some of it pertains to the CARES Act and within our small business area and the ME's office. Item number L is for $27,500. That's specific to support for the medical examiners project that we're funding under CARES, and that's having them, again, just come in and supplement the county and our staff to provide some oversight, some help with budgeting, and keeping it in line with the CARES Act provisions. Item number, or letter number M, for $50,000. Plant Moran has done some specific work with the business applications. They actually helped create the applications. They helped to create the criteria with our planning department and help set that process up. And they also helped to do some initial review of the applications as they come in. And that is under the first round of funding that I just talked about, where we have those 3,500 applications that just came in as of June 24th. So that was the phase that they worked on, and that's what that contract pertains to. Letter number N, again with Plant Moran, is a $60,000 contract, and that is more for consulting and support services as it pertains to the overall $70 million project that we have ongoing for the businesses. So it's all three contracts, it's a different group within Plant Moran. It's a different set of personnel and expertise that they're using. So that's why we have three separate contracts. And we, as well as Plant Moran, just need to be careful because they're also our auditing firm, as you know. So we have to make sure that we keep some of that separation in place with those contracts. Next, item O is with Wakely Associates. That's an architectural contract with them, so they can start to provide services to lay out the plans for the renovation over at the medical examiner's office. That is in the amount of $225,750. Right now, we're estimating the ME's office entire project to be roughly $3.2 million, and that contract is based off of that. And that'll be the normal architectural and engineering just to get our plans and our specs in place to be able to go out to bid. And I believe those are all the items relative to contracts. So I will stop there if there's any questions.
I have Veronica still, so I don't know if we've covered anything that you would like to talk about yet, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just ask a couple. One she hasn't touched on yet. Going back to the beginning on the business grants, I know you guys didn't hit your goal of how much money you planned on putting out in that last round, but you came close. You did a lot better than I thought you guys were going to do. Number one, do you see something like that coming? Is that going to come around again shortly? And number two, are you mapping to see what areas of the county may have benefited greatly and what areas may be lacking because the people haven't gotten the information?
Okay, first question, we will be moving on to phase 2 of our business grants. So there are more opportunities within the $70 million funding pots that we have. This first pot was $20 million, so we did come very close. The next round for businesses will open up starting, I believe the date is July 6th, and it'll be somewhat similar. It'll be open to larger size businesses. So again, some of that business funding is just going to be continual, and we'll keep an eye on funding that wasn't used in previous rounds and kind of where we're at with new applications coming in, as well as other projects that we have within the CARES Act funding. And then in regards to your second question, I don't know that we've mapped them out, but that is certainly something we can do, and I think that's a great suggestion. I know we have a lot of maps going on already within COVID, so it makes sense to use that as a great tool, not only for ourselves internally, but also something very easily that people in the community can use. So we'll definitely take that suggestion back.
That would be great if you, it would give you, maybe even just by zip code, it would give you an opportunity to see if there are areas of the county that aren't benefiting from it. So that would be wonderful. And then with regard to L and O with the medical examiners, is this the only aspect of that project you think will be covered by the CARES Act, or do you see, do you have any idea what percentage, if any more, will be covered by that?
We expect or hope that at least we're the 3.2, we believe that that'll be eligible under the CARES Act.
Okay.
But part of what we need to start getting done is the specs and the scope of the project, and just align that more. And again, that's part of having Plant Moran in there too, just to make sure we're following the CARES Act guidance.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for now.
Welcome.
Great. Thank you. At this moment, I don't have anybody else up to speak. So Vicki, if you would like to finish, that'd be great.
Sure. The last items that I have, all P through Z, are all purchases that we have made in the last month. And starting with those, sorry, let me find my notes. Really relative to P, Q, R, S, T, U, and V, are very similar to our personal protective equipment and or facility cleaning type supplies that you've seen on the agenda before. So again, good work through Brandon Lewis and purchasing on all these items. But these are very similar. Markdown, obviously, they went through and got quotes where they could and then chose the best price or best timing from the individual vendors based on that. So all those items are very similar. P is for cloth masks and roughly $414,750. There was one vendor that we paid that amount to. Then we have surgical procedure masks in the amount of $87,400. Those are specific to Martha T-Berry. That was vendor we purchased from. Then we have face shields that we purchased from one vendor, $245,000. Isolation gowns in the amount of $375,000 from one vendor. Then we have item T, we have touchless thermometers. We had two vendors there within that project area. Total amount for between those two vendors is $497,090. And then we had the gloves that we purchased from two vendors for a total amount of $236,600 within those items. And then the hand sanitizer, we actually had four vendors that we were able to use in an amount of $240,168. New items that we hadn't seen on the agenda before in these areas. The first one, item W, is related back to the Public Works Wastewater Surveillance Program. This was to a company called HESCO. It's a sole source item, and what they are providing is the actual sampling kits and sampling equipment that we need in order to do that project. So the amount for that purchase order is $85,834. We have started to approve the next few items you'll see are IT related items. Many of these relative to our remote working environment that we're in currently and looking at staying into the future. So you have a item there for Hewlett Packard in the amount of $1,398,080. That is a sole source. We already have procurement procedures and contracts with Hewlett Packard, so we stayed with that. And that includes laptops, monitors, and bags for the laptops within that purchase. The next item from IT is Presidio and Cisco. That is for our Webex licenses to be able to do all this nice remote meeting work that we are all partaking in. So that is in the amount of $77,398. Again, sole source, existing contract that I believe the board has seen before and been presented by IT, and really just an add-on to that contract. And then the last item is with M&J Technologies, and that is for a project related to their service desk and their help desk software. That will really make some improvements for people, especially now that more are working remotely, where it addresses the ticketing system that we use if there are problems. There are now features, different features for tracking the tickets. IT can now track our equipment within that same type of program. And as we have gone remote, there's obviously more equipment out there and in the field. So they'll be able to do some tracking there. And then it also has that really neat chat feature that probably many or most of us have seen on websites, where you can actually kind of do a live chat with someone. It also has a feature with the added intelligence component, where you get to ask some questions that become normal or commonplace, that it can answer more rapidly. So lot of great tools within that software to help all of us, both as users and then also on the service side for IT. And again, that was a sole source purchase based on current relationship, and that is for $101,425. And with that, I believe that is it on all of the items on the agenda.
All right. I have Commissioner Haw on the line. So Commissioner Haw.
Thank you, Chairman. Vicki, as always, a fantastic job by you and your team during this pandemic crisis that nobody could have foreseen. I have a question on Q. It's expenditures for Martha Teaberry. We had Kevin from Martha Teaberry, I believe, Tuesday's meeting, or maybe Monday, where he spoke that his budget was being strained extremely by PPE requirements, masks, and other materials. Is this $87,400 a total expenditure for him, or is this partial, or do you know?
No, this is just a partial right now. We've been making purchases for them and continue to work with them. We understand the issues that they are having, so we've been assisting them in that process. No, this was just one of their latest needs that we were asked to procure and take care of. But that's ongoing. We intend that to be ongoing. I believe under the CARES Act, we have $3 million set aside specific to Martha Teaberry, whether they need it for personnel issues, PPE. I think we've already done facility cleaning for them, or that's in process. And then also most recently with some of the new guidance and or mandate that's come down from the governor for long-term care centers to do more aggressive or consistent testing. We are also working with them on that and providing financial support. They have a vendor to be able to do that, but funding was difficult. So we are going to supplement or take care of that for them as well.
That exactly was my concern with the new requirements coming down for long-term care centers, that we definitely meet the need, and it looks like you're doing everything you possibly can to do that and assist. So thank you for that. That's all I have, Chairman.
Welcome.
And I don't have anybody else, but Vicki, I just have a couple quick questions on all the PPE equipment. The isolation gowns and the face shields and everything. Is that for our use at the county, or are we actually buying some things to help out with hospitals and different facilities in the community?
Yeah, it's all of that. We're trying to make sure we, whether it's the first responders in the jurisdiction or ourselves, the hospitals, long-term care centers or congregate care centers, through emergency management, they've set up a contact system. So they're trying to keep them supplied. Basically, they look out 30, 60, 90 days, but those entities can contact us essentially on a daily or they try to get it out at least on a weekly basis and send enough supplies out. So somewhat all of the above.
Okay. Let me just double check here. I don't believe we have any other speakers. And just for a clarifying, you mentioned the Webex licensing that we all do these meetings on. We don't actually use the Webex form. We use Google still with our group, but I'm sure all of the other meetings that you guys use are the Webex ones, correct?
Yes, I just believe that's the preferred methodology by IT, and where they kind of like everybody to go to, but that's not to say that we're not going to pay for Google and and or something else, but it just happens to be Webex right now.
Okay. Well, I don't have anyone else speaking. We already had a motion and a second. So Vicki, thank you very much for your explanations on all of these. And if you don't have anything else, we're going to vote.
Just one more item. I did just want to mention that obviously, even though, the declaration's expiring, our plan as a group, my plan, we will be back every month. Some items, obviously, you will start to see again through the bypass, or if we're able to make a meeting based on timing. But just because there's no declaration, we will, come back and still give updates on a monthly basis. Obviously, if that's what the board would like as well. So that's not going to stop.
Great. I'm sure that the board would love that. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. And since I don't have anybody else on the line, please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Vic.
Thank you.
Item number 10, appointments. We have, we need a motion to concur with the executive's appointment of William Wood for the Macomb County Art Authority. So can I get a motion?
Moved by Kleinfeld.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I think I have a motion by Kleinfeld and support by Carabelli. Anybody wish to speak on this? I don't have any speakers at this moment, so please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item number 11, Government Oversight Committee recommendations. Have 11A, amend the Board of Commissioners rules. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Just Commissioner Duje, support by?
Supported by Romano.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone check real quick? I don't have any speakers on this. So please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item number 12, Health and Human Services Committee recommendations. If anyone would like to take them individually or all together, I will take either or any combination.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve all of them.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carabelli for A through I.
Supported by Hall.
Supported by Commissioner. I'm going to look real quick. I do not see anybody wishing to speak on this issue or these items, so please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 13, Internal Services Committee recommendations. I just have one, 13A. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Motion from Kraft to approve.
Thank you.
Supported by Romano.
Thank you. I don't have any speakers on this. Please vote.
That motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item number 14, Public Services Committee recommendations. We have A through K. We have a lot of letters today. Anybody wishing to make them in their entirety?
Move A through K in their
I'll make a
entirety.
motion to approve in their entirety.
I think I have Commissioner Kennedy and I have Commissioner.
Zito, support.
All right. I had a bunch of commissioners, but I heard Commissioner Duje and I heard Commissioner Lucido. So please vote. Mute yourself, please.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 15, Records and Public Safety Committee recommendation.
I can't believe this.
Move for their entirety, Leonetti.
Support Romano.
Thank you. I have a motion and support. If everyone would please mute if you're not me. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 16, Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee recommendations. I have 16A. I got a motion on that.
Motion by Romano to approve.
So moved, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
I have Commissioner Romano and Commissioner Carabelli. All right. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
All right. Item 18 is new business. I'm going to start off with new business. I got a little texter in the meeting today.
Chair Smith?
Yes.
Chair Smith, we actually have resolutions prior to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Resolutions. I like to I've skipped already something today where I was going to talk about resolutions 17A and or 17A and B. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve both. Haw.
Yes. Can I get support, please?
Support by Romano.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Can we have a vote, please?
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item number 18, new business, as I was starting to say a minute ago, and I almost passed 17. I'm going to apologize for missing invocation earlier today. It was purely unintentional, and I didn't notice it until halfway through the meeting, so I apologize for that. Also, Commissioner Hawes shot me a text asking me why I have a cartoon character that shows up when I hit mute or hit my screen video off, and I would say that that's what happens when you're in your 50s and you have young kids that play with your phone. I have no idea how to undo that, so I will find out how to undo that shortly. So anybody else on new business?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Haw, it definitely was not a likeness of you, I can tell you that. So how they did that is, it was quite humorous. I don't know if everybody saw it. Also, with deep regret, we received notification that a very good friend of all of ours, if not most of us, Art Miller, has recently passed away. So my deepest sympathies to the Miller family. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, man, that's terrible. Thank you for letting us know about that. Sorry to hear that. Any other commissioners with any better new business?
Commissioner Leonetti here. That is bad news, but I don't think we'll see anybody, but wish everybody a happy 4th of July and be safe out there and try to enjoy what you can of summer.
I thought Rob was taking us all on his boat.
That's the new business that we were hoping for.
Yeah, well, in a month.
All right. Any other commissioners with new business? Please.
Last year. I was still waiting for last year's invitation. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Sager. Any other commissioners with new business?
Could we make the boat thing a formal agenda item?
We're going to have to, because everybody, I'm going to have a list to talk about it. So I'm going to assume we don't have any other comments except for commenting on Commissioner Leonetti's vote. So let's go to item number 19, public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak, you can unmute by hitting *6. You'll have 5 minutes to discuss any item. And just please tell me if you're out there, unmute and let me know and give me your name and address.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Yes, who's this?
Chairman Smith, I should say. Mike Zubas.
Okay, Mike, I'm gonna go with you. I have someone else that's unmuted that I'm gonna have to mute here for a second because it makes it difficult to hear. There you go. Mr.
Okay.
Dubus, can you give me your address, please?
It's 322 North Avenue. And before I begin, I just want to ask if I could have some extra time. I actually have a lot to say, and I doubt I will get through all of it, but I would still like to say as much as I can before I get everybody bored. Basically, it's really long. It's got 3,200 words. So I understand if nobody wants to hear all 3,200 words, but if I could be allotted extra time.
If you could try to get it as quick as you can. We generally don't allow, I mean, I'll let you wrap it up at 5 minutes, but generally speaking, you had, I know you weren't here probably, but you had early on too, maybe to talk about it also. But so go ahead and we'll see where you're at 5 minutes and we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I'm going to start now. Good afternoon to the chairman and esteemed commissioners. I come to you today to talk about two things: the recent events that have taken over our TVs, our lives, and our justice system. I am also here to talk about RoboCop and how they relate. Now, I'm sure most are asking, what would a cheesy 80s B movie and their even cheesier sequels have anything to do with modern policing? Well, I must say a whole lot. But first, let's touch on superheroes real quick. Everyone has had one, more likely than not. Our society has had plenty for kids to look up to, from NYC's Batman and Superman to LA's Iron Man, Wonder Woman, and even Supergirl. But Detroit, we have one major superhero that always comes into any conversation, and that would be RoboCop. He is what some people considered a bad joke about how he handled crime back in the day. What I have realized after recently rewatching the movies considered, it's actually a prophecy into today's present policing, criminal justice, and other issues that relate to both of them at the time. Now, when it comes to what RoboCop predicted, first, body cameras, as he recorded conversations with Clerks and others for future use. The movie also predicted facial recognition, as the recording RoboCop used was cross-referenced with a database of mugshots to find a suspect, which is pretty much what Project Greenlight does down in Detroit, but with much less efficiency. They even predicted video calling / conferencing, even though they were landlines at the time. I could keep going on and on about these things, but I would rather all you please try and watch the movies, the first and third ones especially, and judge the movies for yourself, and see if you see what I see. And what do I see is the problem and the solution. There are many problems in our criminal justice system. It's not to blame people. I blame archaic laws, which leads to our police forces, local, county, and state, to be either overworked, underpaid, or both, which leads to stressed out cops that also leads to stressed out decision making. I don't have every single answer, as I'm not a professor in this specific field, but what I have found is a website that might be able to articulate better than me. Instead of defunding, we need to disassemble and reassemble our entire police force, one with rules of engagement that follows and adheres to newer ideas and principles. I have found great suggestions for these rules and regulations that can be extracted from Campaign Zero at the URL www.joincampaign0.org. The main site is really nice. If you scroll down a bit, it'll show you 10 squares, 10 actionable items that individually will do a bit for police restructuring. If you look at number 8, for example, for-profit policing was a law that we passed a few years back when we had that civil forfeiture issue. Every section also has a few links to news articles, government and independent studies, and other materials that can help understand why everything in this whole bundle package, if you will, when placed together, can allow for massive change. Nothing less than 10 will do. Now let's talk about how this relates to RoboCop. In order to do that, I must discuss RoboCop's 3 directives: serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law, and the secret 4th directive, which we will get to later. Now, why is this important? This made RoboCop's job simple, easy, and very understandable, albeit a bit violent, at least in the third person. First up is serving the public trust. I noticed that the sheriff's office motto is determined to keep you trust, working to keep you safe, which is similar to what I feel should be the goal of most of our police forces. But again, the old laws and things like the war on drugs, which, to be frank, it's just a war on people, make it difficult. Age-old practices like fear-based policing, broken windows policies such as stop and frisk, as well as qualified immunity, make for an opaque department. When it comes to qualified immunity, we should be in favor of liability insurance something like what doctors use for malpractice are just a few examples of what's needed in this department. The second directive is about protecting the innocent. That was always a priority for RoboCop, as crime should not always be towards that, which brings me to talking about militarization. Now, I've seen articles in the local paper discussing about how the 1033 program is not being used to militarize the police. I must disagree. You see, the problem isn't that it's being used to militarize the police. The problem is that it already is militarized. From the same article, it was noted that Macomb County Sheriff Department has one mine-resistant vehicle, and also St. Clair Shores, Roseville, and Sterling Heights City Police own one as well. Does 4 separate jurisdictions need the same equipment when the use of it is minimal to negligible? The only practical use can be for people barricaded in buildings, which justifies the county having one. But why do 3 separate cities need one as well? That's an overlap, a $700,000 overlap. But the Fed does give generous grants to the program. But when you think about it, it's the Fed giving the cops money to buy army surplus from the Fed. So who's fooling who here? Oh, and the need for 2,300 5.56 millimeter assault rifles, 500 7.62 millimeter assault rifles.
Michael?
Yes.
Michael, I'm gonna say you're already over your 5.
All right.
Wrap this up in the next few minutes, because we've had 3 other meetings this week that there's been opportunity to do this. So can we get to the end, please?
I'll try to get to the end of this section, and then I'll just try. I guess I can finish it up another time. Would that be all right to do?
You can do this at the end of every meeting that we have.
Okay. All right. So I'll try to finish it up next time. All right. So I'll finish this chunk, this paragraph, and then I'll go to the next.
Okay, I'll allow that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, so where was I? Oh yeah. But only 320 45 caliber pistols and a few dozen shotguns. The 2,300 number has got to be AR-15 from 16. Oh, I mean, if you spread it amongst the departments around the county SWAT teams, maybe I could see that. But 500 AKs on top of that, why do we need both? And why are the majority of purchased weapons you find on a battlefield? Is that what America's streets are now? Unfortunately, yes. When you train your police in another country's military, such as the Israeli Defense Force, they come back ready for war, not peace. Hence why I see this assembly and reassembly is the only good option. All right, I'm going to end it there.
Thank you.
I'll come back next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the extra time.
All right. Any other members of the public on the line wishing to speak? You have approximately 5 minutes, and you can speak to any topic. Any members of the public wishing to speak, unmute yourself. You would hit *6. And so we're going to close the second time. The third call for the public participation.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Support,
Close
Mr.
public
Chair.
participation. I have motion and support.
Adjournment.
Please vote. Commissioners, I echo Commissioner Leonetti. Have a great 4th of July. Be safe.
Be safe, everyone.